Okay, this is number 22. I'm sorry, this is 2.2, lesson 2.2, number 9. Let me help you with this question. We're asked to find the limit of 1 minus cosine of x over x squared as the x value approaches to positive infinity. And we're also told to use the squeeze theorem. Okay. To use the squeeze theorem, you will usually dealing with something that's alternating. Sine of x or cosine of x, usually you'll see that when you have to use the squeeze theorem. So we'll start from that point. Okay, so we could use the idea. Okay, start with the idea that the cosine of x is in between inclusive -1 and +1. We could use that fact. Okay, if this is true, then what do we know about the value for 1 minus cosine of x? Or I guess that's, you could also say that's negative cosine of x plus 1. Okay, so what do we know about this? Okay, if cosine of x is in between 1 and -1, then the opposite of that, negative cosine of x, would also be in between -1 and 1. Okay, you could divide both sides by negatives. That becomes +1, that becomes -1, but because you're dividing by a negative, the inequality sign reverses. But you could rewrite that as this form. And then if you want to write, okay, so that becomes that. Your second statement becomes, okay, by introducing 1 in front of it, you're essentially adding 1 to both sides. So on the right side you have 2, and on the left side you have 0. So you have to start with the statement. The fact that 1 minus cosine of x is in between 0 to 2. But I'm concerned with the expression that divides this one by x squared. Okay, it's 1 minus cosine of x divided by x squared. So I could do, from my previous step, I could divide everything by x squared. Okay, that's the division property of inequality. We're assuming that x squared is not 0. So assuming that's true, so we're doing this. And then so we're almost there. So now we know that 1 minus cosine of x divided by x squared, whatever that value is, it has to be in between 0 over x squared, which is just 0 itself. 0 divided by x squared is 0. And then this should be less than or equal to 2 over x squared. So we have the statement. Let me go to my next page. Okay, cut and paste. So now I'm ready to use the concept of the limit, and I'm ready to use the squeeze theorem. So now, okay, if the inequality holds true, then the limit should hold true as well. So limit as x goes to, what value was it? Infinity. Okay. 0 should be less than or equal to the limit of our middle expression, which in turn should be less than or equal to the limit of 2 over x squared as the x value approaches negative infinity. And I could see that the limit of 0 doesn't depend on x, so your answer for that is 0. And the limit of 2 over x squared, it's just like 1 over x squared. As x approaches infinity, you just get a smaller and smaller and smaller value, so that becomes 0 as well. So the limit, whatever the limit of x approaching infinity of 1 minus cosine of x over x squared is, it has to be in between zeros. Okay, it's greater than or equal to 0, and it's less than or equal to 0. So at this point you could say, by the squeeze theorem, limit is 0. Okay, so that's number 9 from your homework.